A young man from a privileged youth but sickly childhood finds renewal in the American West and goes on to become one of the bulliest presidents of the USA. Now that's to be a movie. An epic but peaceful score, like Howard Zimmerman's A Way of Life from The Last Samurai, plays as Emil Libasek's camera pans across the epic majesty of the American West in the Theodore Roosevelt National Park. Hello, and thank you for watching today's episode of That Should Be a Movie. I'm C.W. Johnson Jr. Today's book I'd like to pitch as a movie is Mornings on Horseback, the story of an extraordinary family, a vanished way of life, and the unique child who became Theodore Roosevelt by David McCullough from Simon & Schuster. Mornings on Horseback has enough material to be a TV show or miniseries. Indeed, the whole Roosevelt family history from its roots in early New York society to Franklin Delano Roosevelt's ascent into the White House has the potential to be a multi-season American Downton Abbey. There are plenty of historical tidbits, interesting characters, love stories, adventures, scandals, political intrigue, fashion evolution, and social mores to keep the attention of any fan of period pieces. However, as a movie, I believe the best focus should be on the influence of the American West on a young and mourning Teddy Roosevelt. There are several books that deal specifically with this topic. Forging a President, How the Wild West Created Teddy Roosevelt by William Hazargrove from Regenary History. Teddy Roosevelt and the Badlands, A Young Politician's Quest for Recovery in the American West by Roger L. D. Silverostro from Walker Books. Roosevelt and the Badlands by Herman Hagedorn. Teddy Roosevelt and the Dakota Badlands by Chester L. Brooks, Ray H. Madison from National Parks Service. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to get my hands on any copies because I have to eat too. With a good cinematographer, T.R.'s experience in the American West could make a beautiful film that juxtapositions his privileged youth with his roughing it on the American frontier via flashbacks. There could be flashbacks to the American Civil War, in which he grew up in a house almost divided, since his father, Theodore Sr., was from New York City, and his mother, Martha Bullock, was from Georgia. While his father was away in Washington supporting the Union war effort, his mother and grandmother would make care packages for rebel troops in exciting silence. He and his sister would play blockade runners on the bridge in Central Park, in which he would play the Union ship, trying to capture his Confederate sister. Because none of his Roosevelt relatives went to war, paying substitutes to go in their stead, something his father always regretted, little Teddy looked to his rebel seafaring uncles from the Bullock side of the family for manly inspiration, something new millennials in your skinny jeans could learn from. This isn't to suggest anything negative about the senior and junior Roosevelt relationship. By all means, it was a healthy one, in which Mr. Roosevelt encouraged his son's interest in science. They helped build the Museum of Natural History, among many other philanthropic enterprises, and he did all he could to provide him relief from his asthma attacks. While T.R. was never healed of his asthmatic attacks, it was through his father's exhortations that he pushed himself to overcome it and be all he could be. When the elder Roosevelt passed away, his son's journals and letters contained nothing but sorrow. After graduating from Harvard, his dreams of being a scientist crushed and a career as a lawyer begun. Theodore, Jr. is elected to the New York State Assembly in Albany and marries Alice Hathaway Lee. But then tragedy strikes. On Valentine's Day, February 14th, 1884, both his mother and his wife die. Martha died of typhoid fever, and Alice of kidney failure, 2 days after giving birth to their daughter, Alice. Witnesses say he was devastated at the double funeral. His chief political opponent, Lucas Van Allen, offered prayers of comfort and strength for him on the assembly floor, an example of human kindness and decency that our heated political society today could learn from. He later wrote, "The life went out from my life forever." 6 months later, after losing the battle against nominating James D. Blaine for the Republican ticket at the Chicago Convention, he led out for the Badlands of North Dakota. Most of the settlers saw nothing good in this weird geographical wasteland, but the cattlemen saw prime grazing due to the abundance of grass. Here, between 1883 and 1886, he had a series of wild and woolly adventures. He nearly killed his guide on a week-long hunting trip for a buffalo, an animal for which he later led conservation efforts. He knocked out a cowboy who was making fun of him for wearing glasses. He almost had a duel with the controversial Marquis Anton Amédée Marie Vincent Manicot de Valderosa Moors. I think I said that name correctly. A dueling Frenchman who sought to establish a meatpacking empire in North Dakota. He engaged in the physical work of the spring roundups, injuring his shoulder, yet he found the work superbly health-giving. After capturing some thieves, he marched them 45 miles to jail, when most people in that day and age and place would have saved themselves the trouble and just hung them. This grit and devotion to law and order won him respect among the frontier's people. These Badlands years were not without controversy. He was accused of abandoning his young daughter Alice. This abandonment probably led to Alice's wild side years later, which itself is worthy of a movie. In the blizzard of 1886-87, his ranch was economically devastated. He rode 3 days without seeing a single living bovine. This brought an end to his Badlands years. While never really a cowboy, he considered himself a cattleman in the tradition of great Sikhs. His writings helped inspire the modern image of the American cowboy. Before his writings, people, especially on the East Coast, considered cowboys no better than tramps. It was synonymous. But with the publication of Roosevelt's Western Experiences, the public began to take them seriously. Most importantly, his Badlands years gave Roosevelt the confidence to become the iconic, world-changing American character that history remembers him as. Upon his return east, his friends remarked that he was more muscular, with more grit, and clearer speech. He told one friend, Arthur Packard, that he believed he would do his best work in a public and political way. Then Packard responded, "You will become President of the United States." Because this incredible story about the extraordinary character, Teddy Roosevelt, has the potential to be a stunningly beautiful showcase of American scenery in North Dakota, I believe that Mornings on Horseback by Dave McCullough should be a movie. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and let me know in the comment section what book about the early years of a president you think should be a movie. And please follow That Should Be a Movie on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The links are below. Thank you.